guess it shows how small the world can be at times. In the early stories I told you, my dad was with the Calgary Regiment, and they were fighting in Italy. Eventually, they were, after Italy was liberated, they sent them up into Holland, and in Holland they liberated it, and the Dutch people had been under Nazi occupation for 5 years, and they were really, excuse me, very miserably treated by the Nazis. So when the Canadians came in and liberated them from that, they were just overjoyed, and they were treated as conquering heroes, and they were very much appreciated. This particular story happened in Italy. They were coming up through Italy, and I mentioned that in a tank, three tanks grouped together as a troop, and so many troops made a squadron, so many squadrons made a regiment, and in a crew, 5 men in a crew making up a tank, and usually the crew commander was like a sergeant or a lieutenant, and my father's commander, he gave the orders, decided what to do, when to fire. He was the boss, and anyway, this particular guy was a Jewish guy, which wasn't that common, and he had a kind of an interesting past. He was born in Germany. His parents were German Jews. And in the 30s, when Hitler came to power, as you know, he had a real hate for Jews and was going to kill them. And so his family could see that coming, and they escaped Germany and came to Canada. So he was a bit older. I think he was probably, most of them are in their teenagers or 20s. He was 32, 33. But because of his heritage, he could speak not only English but fluent in German. So they would use him to interrogate prisoners of war, find out, ask some questions. We want to know what gun placements, how many men were there, all the details to gather information. So I had, and surprisingly, I'm surprised they didn't have him in a higher position than they did. Anyway, they at one particular spot they were able to take a lot of prisoners, and so because he had the fluency in German, he would. They would get him to ask the soldiers the questions. And when they're coming across one group and he was putting the questions to them and all that, and they were either answering them or not answering them, I guess. And then one soldier said to him, "Charlie, you don't," he said it in German, of course, "Charlie, you don't remember me." And he looked at him real funny and he said, I don't know, Fritz or whatever his name was, so-and-so. Lived 3 houses down the street from you in Nuremberg. He was maybe 7 or 8, 10 years younger. Yeah. Here it was, a former neighbor of his, meeting them up in a war situation and reconnecting that way. What's the chances of that happening? Yeah. On opposite sides, of course. I remember about 10 years ago, David Halton, who made a television documentary. His father, Matthew Halton, was a CBC correspondent and had followed the troops through Italy. And David took a group of veterans back to Ortona, and he arranged this, that they'd meet up with the paratroopers that they fought against there. And it was called Battlefield Redemption. And actually, you can find it on the CBC archives. It's there. And as you know, Ortona took place around Christmas time. And they went back there, I think it was about a month before Christmas. They didn't want to have them over there, miss their Christmas at home. But anyway, it was kind of an uncomfortable unease about meeting up with people that you had actually tried to kill. They tried to kill you. But, 60 years had gone by. And anyway, it was the most cathartic, healing experience they ever met. And they found out that they, like them, were scared and petrified, and they were doing what they thought was the right thing to do. They were kind of tricked by Hitler into thinking this was the right thing. And when they went back to their civilian lives after the war, had many traumatic memories of what happened. And it was a healing process to meet them and come to terms and to forgive each other and go on with their life. It was really very, very inspiring and documentary. I highly recommend go on it. It's under the CBC archives called Battlefield Redemption.